Quick game. How many of you would admit that you're a petty person? Raise your hand. Oh, quite a lot of people. I'm a petty person, or used to be maybe. Sometimes it's fun, you know. I don't know. Quick story. When I was 18, I went away to college 3,000 miles away. And before I did that, I needed to come out to my mother. Not necessarily come out, but just answer a question I had been avoiding for quite some time. So I happened to be on MySpace, this is how long ago it was, and she said, you know, my mother came in my room and she said, you know, Xavier, every time I come into your room, you always click the X out the window, like real quick, and so I just wanted to know, you know, the Lord brought it upon me to ask you, are you a homosexual? Now, I clearly would close the X on the windows because who wants their mother to see their child watching porn, right? So, you know, being the petty person that I am, I said, well, that's funny. You would have thought the Lord would have brought you the answer too. She didn't find that funny. You know, it was hard enough being a single black mother raising her only single black son. And now the fact that she had to deal with the fact that her son was gay, I felt guilty. So much so that, you know, I went through life trying to figure out how to undisappoint her because I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. I went on, you know, through life trying to figure out, you know, how I could please my mother and, you know, so I can make her happy and sweep this gay stuff under the rug because, you know, she loved me and not the sin. Fast forward, I met somebody. He was cute and nerdy, and I knew we were gonna be together for quite some time because he picked me up in a snowstorm on Valentine's Day, and he picked me up to go get ribs. I mean, it's the ribs, right? I mean, it was from Fridays, and the Jack Daniel's sauce is amazing. However, he dumped me in a text message. Boo, I know, boo. You know, he said, you know, the reason why he broke up with me because he said I was too intimidating and it felt like I had life all figured out. Okay. You know, fast forward to the defining moments of my pettiness. So about 3 months after he dumped me in a text message, I found my ex's YouTube videos on Facebook. So I clicked on it and I said, oh, well, what's this? You know, I did some research and I figured out, well, I could do this. I'm cuter and funnier than he is anyway. And I had the best, you know, retaliation, getting back over an ex because you dumped me in a text message. So I sent him a message on Facebook and, you know, inquired, you know, how do I get into this thing? And he was extremely apologetic and he rushed over to my apartment and he taught me all the ins and outs of YouTube. Now, initially, you know, when I started doing YouTube and I started gaining traction on my YouTube videos, I realized it was, you know, from a petty nature, of course. But then I realized that all my petty behavior was taking over my psyche. So I went to the doctor, and I was clinically diagnosed with social anxiety disorder. And through a lot of counseling, I realized that my petty behavior was actually, you know, me totally focusing on what other people thought of me. And like most social inadequacies, I realized that my pettiness was a defense mechanism. So, you know, again, therapy was definitely helped me along the way, and I don't think I would have ever figured out my purpose in life so early if I hadn't unpacked all the untrue things and all the false pathologies of what society puts on black gay men. And like I said before, you know, I started YouTube through being petty, you know, I was trying to get back in an ex. You know the story, right? And without, you know, talking to my therapist and talking to her about booze, boys, and parental approval, the best and the most cathartic thing about this whole process was blogging. You know, I was able to go on YouTube and be who I was unapologetically without reproach. And it was life-affirming to do such a thing. So fast forward, I decided to, use my degree, and I became a social worker. And, as a social worker, we've committed to the idea that it's a thankless job. So as a blogger, I received an email about 2 years ago from a man who found me on the internet who was struggling with his sexuality. And he explained to me that finding me through the internet and through YouTube and my blog, that I helped him out in such a way that he's out now, and he's actually currently this summer getting married to his partner. That's when I realized that this is bigger than who I am. And, purpose is one of those things that when your mission, vocation, and passion and profession meet. And I realized that I was afforded a whole bunch of opportunities once I stood firm and figured out what my purpose was, which is helping people. So a couple months ago, I had a conversation with my mother, and she said, when are you settling down? To have kids, I really want grandkids. And with a man. I said, oh, a man, okay. And even going forward, right before I came here to Penn State, I had a conversation with the guy who broke up with me in a text message. We went to dinner, and he asked me to give him a shout out. So here it is. If I hadn't gone through the things I went through and had those aha moments, who knows where I would be? So I challenge all of you today who raised your hand, and some of you who wanted to raise your hand but didn't, to self-examine, your petty behavior, and if it's necessary. Because we could always channel our energies, our negative energies, into doing something positive. We can make somebody feel good without making them feel awful. And we can be each other's support system and support ourselves being unapologetically who we are purposefully. Thank you.